Today in Taking Over Tottenham, we have transfer deadline day. We'll see what that is all about. Off the back of that, we take on a loaded Newcastle, so deadline day could be interesting with that in mind as well. And off the back of that, we will hopefully unlock the data hub that's coming up today in Taking Over Tottenham.
No, we lost our purpose, chasing all that surplus. You were all that I need. I feel that we can break free. We can still go back there to a place with no cares. We can turn this ship around. We can turn this ship around all the way back home. Chasing all that.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Taking Over Tottenham here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you're doing well. If you're looking forward to today's episode number 3 of this beta save, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well if you are enjoying the content here on the channel. But we will start today by catching you guys up on highlights of the games that we have played since yesterday's episode, which if you missed, I'll leave a link to above my head in the top right corner before we start getting into the deadline day business. First off, we had the first leg of a UEFA Conference League qualifier against Molde away from home, and straight off the kickoff, we got off to a shocking start with a heavily rotated team in this game. Linus making his way down the right, puts the ball in there for Sigurdsson, and he puts them 1-0 up after 20 seconds, so an awful start from us there. Luckily though, at the 25-minute mark, ball played up there from Hexagon to Belotti, and Brian Gill off the post gets it back 2-1 all, and we did get the lead early in the second half. I say early, around the hour mark. Emerson Royale making his way down the right, Brian Gill at the far post in for Belotti, and he gets his first goal as a Tottenham Hotspur player to put us 2-1 up, and I felt like then we might start to get on top of these guys, but 1 minute later, they hit back with an instant reply. The left winger there getting on top of Emerson Royale and putting that away at the far post. Then we grabbed the lead back in the 89th minute. Sessegnon to Belotti, and Dali Ali running onto that good finish into the bottom left corner, keeping his goal scoring form from the preseason going. At 90 minutes, 3-2 up, but then in the 95th minute, another far post header there. Smebby rescues a 3-all draw for Molde, so that was a really frustrating one to take. You look at the stats, we were definitely the better team, just not clinical enough of our chances and quite leaky at the back there, albeit with a rotated team. But that was a little bit of a worry going into the second leg of that Conference League qualifier, only managing a draw away from home. Off the back of that, back into the Premier League, and we took on Leeds at home. This was a very even game, and it took until very late for the goal in this game to happen. Ndombele just holding the ball up outside the box. Reguilon back to Ndombele, and what a goal that is into the top right corner. That is what got us 3 points at home against Leeds. It was a game that we slightly dominated things stats-wise, except for XG. Everything else was more or less in our favour, but it took until really late, that wonderful strike from Ndombele to pick us up 3 points there. And then we went back home for the second leg against Molde, 3-all after the first leg. We did slow down the tempo, shorter passing, played more of a proper tiki-taka style for this game, just to see how it worked out. And we did get an early penalty to Harry Kane in the 9th minute, tucks it away for his first goal of the season to make it 1-0, and then about 8 minutes later, he made it a double. Ndombele, who has started the season off really nicely, ball over the top. And as you'd expect from Harry Kane, tucks that away, albeit just before that, missed an absolute sitter, but we'll forget about that. 2-0 shortly off the back of that. Ndombele at the far post, keeping his good run of form going. And we were 3-0 up in the first half. We did concede a goal late on with one of the few shots that Molde did get off in this game. Dutro there putting that away in the left-hand corner, but did enough to hold on to a 3-1 lead. 6-4, we go through to the group stage of the Conference League on aggregate. You look at the stats there, it was a barbier performance from us. Maybe playing that more traditional tiki-taka style will help. We also pulled back the wing-backs just to see if that helped us out defensively, and it did seem to help a little bit, albeit they didn't really offer a lot in that game to Molde, so a bit hard to tell. We'll see how it gets on against Newcastle today. If it doesn't work out, we might be going to the gegenpress, I think, because it just doesn't seem like this 5-at-the-back system is working exactly how we'd like. We're certainly controlling possession like the board want us to, but we're not doing as good a job as we should be in creating attacking chances. But we've made our way through to the Conference League. If we have a look at the group that we did get drawn in, it is extremely favourable. Rapid Wien of Austria, Omanoia of Cyprus, I hope I've got the pronunciation right if there's any fans of that team around, and Trabzonspor from Turkey. That's probably going to be the toughest opposition we've got in that group, a group that we should absolutely be cakewalking through, and a competition we should be going very, very close to winning. But it is time for one of the new features in Football Manager 2022 this year, and that is Deadline Day. I've just started it now, and you can see we've already got an inbox item and some interesting stuff coming through already from this Deadline Day rumours. Apparently Liverpool are after Harry Kane for 88 million. I think they're going to have to cough up a lot more cash than that if they want him. Truth be told, though, he hasn't started off the season that great, so if they come in with a ridiculous offer, we might not turn it down, but we'll see what happens. Also interested in him, though, Manchester City and Real Madrid, so there could be a few deals going around for Harry Kane today. We'll see what happens. If we look at our budget going into today, though, we don't have any. We had a little bit of money left in there after we bought in Belotti in yesterday's episode. Unfortunately, there was an additional clause in Højbjerg's deal that got triggered in between then and today's episode, and that means our transfer budget is entirely gone. So if we're going to do any business, we're going to have to sell a player before we do it. So we'll see what happens over Deadline Day. I'll play through it and we'll come back if any interesting stuff happens. But we'll have a quick look at the Deadline Day menu. I think what comes up here are agent offers. We'll come back when this sort of stuff starts to happen. You've got attracting interest. So you can see there's some clubs interested in these players, most notably our young centre-back Alfie Dorrington, who made his debut in that first leg of the Mulder qualifier in the Conference League. Contracts expiring for us. Hugo Lloris, he's been a little bit iffy to start the season as well. We'll see how he gets on throughout the rest of the year before we make a decision on him. And listed players, we've got none in the first team. So definitely some more menus, a bit of a tidier way to look at things. It will be interesting to see how these agent offers work over today. But as I said, with the transfer budget we've got, we are going to need to sell before we buy. So we'll see what happens over Deadline Day, and we'll be back if anything does take place. Okay, we've gone forward a few hours in Deadline Day, and we can now start to see what the agent offer tab looks like. We're getting a few agents sending information about their players through. I think what we're going to do throughout today is just get rid of the ones that are not green rated. Just keep the rest in hand just in case we do need to use them for anything. But certainly, they're starting to try and drum up some interest in certain players here. Are agents, the ones that we're going to keep an eye out on. Looks like Danilo, Sola, Renan Lodi, and that's probably about it so far, but I imagine this is going to get quite bulked out throughout the remaining 13 hours of Deadline Day. And we have got an interesting situation here. Our next opponent's Newcastle, as we know in FM22 in the beta anyway. They've got a lot of money to splash, and they are offering us 30 million up front for Sergio Reguilon and 6 million in installments. That's not bad. That's about smack bang in the middle of his transfer value. I think what we're going to do is just go have a quick look at other left-back options that we do have on our shortlist and see if we can maybe get a little bit of sneaky extra money in our transfer budget through this deal, because if we can find a better left-back than Reguilon, I think that would be a smart move, even though we are playing Newcastle next. Of course, Reguilon, of course, recently in real life at the Newcastle game was the player who stopped the game there to help the fan who was having the heart attack. So I suppose he's got a bit of a connection to Newcastle in that way, so it's not the most far-fetched situation that he does want to go there, and the agent is telling us his preferred destination would indeed be Newcastle. So we might actually be doing some business here on Deadline Day. We'll just go have a quick look and see if there's any left-backs on our shortlist who are better than Reguilon, who we can afford with that 30 million. Okay, the first left-back we are going to have a look at as a potential Reguilon replacement is Federico Di Marco. You can see there, very cheap compared to what Newcastle are going to be offering us for Reguilon, so we could even afford to bring in another couple players if we got this guy in instead of Reguilon. But comparing the attributes between the two, Reguilon is a little bit better, so I think so far we're going to rule DeMarco out at the moment. Reguilon staying. Next up, though, this is a player who's come through one of the agent offers today in Deadline Day, and that is Renan Lodi, 23-year-old Brazilian from Atletico Madrid, value between 20 to 24 million, so we'd be making a little bit of a profit there if we switched him for Reguilon. I'll just have a quick look at their stats and see how they compare. And indeed, Renan Lodi actually looks a bit better in the wingback support role that we use. So with that in mind, they're pretty similar wage-wise. It's just that we're going to be making a little bit of extra coin potentially if we sell Reguilon and bring Lodi in. So yeah, with that in mind, I think we might actually do some Deadline Day business here, and Sergio Reguilon can go off to the Geordies. It will make for a very interesting matchup later in today's episode. But I think what we're going to do is go for Lodi and sell Regulon. So we will accept that offer. Okay, so now negotiating the deal with Renan Lottie. They want 26 million. We asked for 20 up front. We'll just try and work them down here and try and get them for as cheap as possible. Starting to work their way down. I think we could get them for around the 22 mark. We'll just see what happens here. They've flat out rejected that. It is deadline day, so we probably don't want to muck around too much with this. We'll offer them 24, the higher end of that. Still a 6 million profit on that trade-off for Regulon for Lottie, and we'll see what they come back to us with that. Hopefully, Renan Lottie can come as a replacement for Sergio Regulon. And luckily for us, Atletico Madrid have accepted that offer for Renan Lottie, so we'll start negotiating the contract. Apparently, he will want somewhere between 73 and 93,000 a week, so that's a slight raise on Regulon. He wants important player playing time as a slightly better player than Regulon, who was our regular starter there at left back, so that's not completely out of the realms of possibility either. So this looks like a fairly good deal. You can see he's also interested in Newcastle, but I imagine with Regulon joining them, that's going to go down quite considerably, his interest in that club. So hopefully we can get the job done here negotiation-wise. So we've offered him regular starter and he is happy with that, so that's a good start. Now we'll try and work his wage down to somewhere around that 78, 73 mark, I think it was, the lower end of the wage that he did want. We'll get rid of these add-ons. I never like having add-ons in my contracts in this game. Just try and tidy things up financially. We will boost up the clean sheet bonus. He now wants 105k a week, so I think what we're going to have to do here is give him a fairly decent signing on fee, so we'll bump that up to 7.5. The agent fee as high as it can, and at for 78,000, he's happy to join us, which is a slight increase, as I said, on Sergio Regulon's wage, but we do get a bit more money in our overall transfer budget because of that deal. 6 million less to bring Lottie in than it was to sell Regulon to Newcastle. So hopefully in a few hours' time, Renan Lottie will be a Tottenham Hotspur player. Okay, so we've gone forward a few more hours, and Regulon's work permit, as you would expect already being in England, has gone through. He is about to join Newcastle. 36 million overall. We get 30 million of that up front, 29 million getting added to our transfer budget. So we will accept that deal, albeit it looks like we're not able to do the Renan Lottie deal. So we'll just accept this one for Regulon. Hopefully that money will go through straight away. Otherwise, we might have to delay this until later on deadline day, which would be a little bit risky. You can see the work permit's been granted, and despite accepting that bid for Regulon, we still don't have the transfer funds apparently, so we're going to have to delay this. Hopefully that doesn't backfire on us rather spectacularly, but yeah, a little bit of an interesting one there. We'll delay the transfer, and hopefully a little bit later on, Renan Lottie will become a Tottenham player. Okay, a bit of a deal I forgot. I did hear a couple of weeks ago, we tried to get another centre-back just to strengthen our stocks in that area if we are going to continue with 5 at the back. Not too sure if we will, but Philip Benkovic is at Leicester. We offered them about 500k up front and another million in add-ons. You can see he's got pretty good potential there, centre-back wise. Current ability not great, but is a slight upgrade on our youth prospect, Alfie Dorrington. So I think we're going to accept this offer because we do now have the transfer funds to pull this one off. We can do this deal as well as the deal for Renan Lottie. So we'll add Philip Benkovic to the Tottenham team as more or less an emergency centre-back option. So there's one deal that we've done on deadline day. And up to 45 minutes before the end of deadline day, and we can now finally do the deal for Renan Lottie. A little bit weird that the money just didn't go through straight away. I suppose it's realistic, but yeah, I was trying to get ahead with that deal, but we will accept it. A couple of offers here for some of our under 23, under 18 players, but we've had a lot of these throughout the day, and they are nowhere near their transfer value, so we're just going to reject those. But Renan Lottie is now a Tottenham player, and he is the left-back replacement for Sergio Regulon. And that was deadline day in Football Manager 2022. Definitely interesting. We wouldn't have sold Sergio Regulon if that deadline day feature wasn't there. I would think in the end getting Renan Lottie in for a little bit less. Also bringing in, of course, Belotti in yesterday's episode, and Benkovic, just in case we stick with this 5 at the back, and he's an extra body there as well, which could be useful here on a very cheap deal from Leicester. Our only sale for us in this window, of course, was Sergio Regulon, boosting the bank up a little bit. We'll get a little bit of add-ons over the next few windows thanks to that one as well. So that's our deadline day business done. That's how deadline day works. Definitely interesting, those agent offers certainly spice things up, and also the fact in the Premier League in this first transfer window that Newcastle do have a lot of money. It will be interesting to see the amount of debutants they do have when they take us on in the Premier League off the back of that. And we look at the overall Premier League transfer window roundup, you can see top deadline day deal. They also bought in Raul Jimenez from Wolves for £72 million. So they have spent the cash on deadline day, have Newcastle. That's 102 million up front for Jimenez and Reguilon. You can see biggest spender though was Manchester City, 186 million to Newcastle. Not quite blowing all their budget, it would appear, but most players out. Manchester City have got rid of 49 players, which is pretty ridiculous, but we'll come back shortly and we'll be cracking into the game against Newcastle, taking on our former player, Sergio Reguilon, as well as new addition, Raul Jimenez. And here are the team sheets for our Premier League game against Newcastle. You can see there Newcastle on the left, and they have got some notable additions that they have brought in late in the window. Kieran Trippier is an additional wing back to Sergio Reguilon, so they have definitely improved in the wing back role. They've got Joe Willock, Paulinho, who I've seen get picked up in a lot of Newcastle saves from Brendan Rodgers once he joins on a free transfer, and of course Raul Jimenez up top. So they have certainly splashed a bit of the cash that they do have in this game. In terms of us, our only change, of course, with Reguilon going over to Newcastle is that Renan Lodi will make his debut straight in from Atletico Madrid and off the back of an international break. He has not been back from that one for very long. Him or Davinson Sanchez, of course, being in South American qualifiers, of course, in real life. I'm pretty sure most of the players who played in this past international window in real life didn't make it back for this game, but these guys are just fit enough to play, so we'll give them a crack. Still playing our 5 at the back. We'll see how that goes today. Get into the data hub and see what it looks like. Hopefully we can get a good result here, because Newcastle certainly a bit stronger than they were prior to deadline day. 1 minute gone. It's a very early highlight here and a throw for Newcastle. Reguilon to take it. St. Maximin, Paulinho. So a few of the new signings linking up there. St. Maximin into the box. We have given them far too much time there. A very dangerous player, and he puts Newcastle up early. That is a dreadful start from us, and it did have somewhat of an impact thanks to the sale of Reguilon. He did the throw off the back of that. Some good short passing from Newcastle, just jogging past our defence there. Too much pace and rockets it into the top right corner. Terrible start. We go 1-0 down early, and shortly off the back of that, it's a free kick here to Newcastle. The shells at the far post, and we are all over the shop here early at St. James's Park after 4 minutes. Newcastle 2, Tottenham 0. This is not going well, it's fair to say, dropping down to 10th in the live table, still on 4 points. We were 9th going into this game, Newcastle below us, but they have started like an absolute house on fire, in trouble early, 2-0 down. 16 minutes gone here. It's a goal kick to Newcastle to start things off, so hopefully we can get on top of them while we're in the right area of the pitch, but Reguilon makes his way down the left. I might be regretting that sale early, albeit might take Lottie a little bit of time to get used to his new team, it is fair to say, but yeah, interesting start to this game. We have got off to an absolute shocker, and Newcastle are holding possession well. Willock will pass that back all the way to Dubravka. Long ball forward, and somehow Raul Jimenez gets on the end of that. That is an absolute disgrace at the back. Not too sure if that was a little bit of a glitch there, though, the way that Lloris was running back after that once the ball had gone into the net. But either way, it's a simple long ball over the top, and Newcastle, after Cora now a 3-0 up, our defenders just stopped there for no real reason. A bit of miscommunication perhaps there between them and Lloris, and Raul Jimenez with the simplest of finishes. We're going to berate the boys because we have been shocking so far. 3-0 down after 20 minutes. 36 minutes gone, and finally a highlight that might be in our favour, although there's a poor pass. Paulinho gets on the end of it. A good interception there. Not too sure who that was from, but the ball eventually falls to Lucas Moura, and hopefully we can try and work ourselves back into this game. An absolutely shocking start. That third goal, I'm not too sure what happened there. That was an absolute mess, but good interception there from Lottie. Sets up. Kane puts it wide. Harry Kane, he has not been that great to start the season off, and still it remains 3-0 to Newcastle. And that is half-time in this game at St. James's Park. Stats-wise, not terrible, though shots on target, yeah, it has been terrible. We're getting battered, and everyone's having a shocker, so I'm not too sure if substitutions is going to help either. So I think we're just going to have to give the boys a good yell at half-time. and see what happens in the second half, because we are in a world of hurt. 3-0 down as we kick off the second half. 57 minutes gone here. First highlight of the second half. Free kick to Newcastle. St. Maximin looking for a double, and it skims off the crossbar, and still 3-0. But we are looking utterly shocking today. But we do have a throw in here if we can get a goal back now. Might be a momentum switch. Ramiro with a shot there at the far post. The goalkeeper makes a bit of a mess of it, but can't quite get another shot off in time there. Can Ramiro, and it still remains 3-0 with a half hour to go. And I think we're going to make some substitutions here because we need to try and do something. Harry Kane, yeah, not too sure about him, to be honest. We will take him off for Belotti, and also Lodi not having a great game rating-wise on debut, also on a yellow card, so Ben Davies can come on for him. Still in a lot of trouble with just under a half hour to go, 3-0 down. And up to the 74-minute mark here, we're going to make our last substitution. You can see stats-wise, definitely getting better in the second half, but just not really doing anything in front of goal. We'll bring Dali Ali on for Højbjerg. Hopefully, he can pinch a goal late and try and get us back into this, but not looking likely. Still 3-0 down. And we are entering injury time in this game. We got absolutely battered early, and that's what's made the difference. Nothing really happening in the second half. You can see, XG-wise, we certainly improved, but didn't get shown too many highlights, and a bit of a shocker that one, it's fair to say. The stats in the end weren't too dissimilar between the two teams, but they got off to an absolute flyer, and we never really recovered, and that is a really heavy loss to be taking. That will not help the morale, it's fair to say. Newcastle battering us at St. James's Park 3-0. And this is what the Premier League table looks like after that heavy defeat for us. Certainly hasn't helped our goal differential, but we are in 11th on 4 points with a game in hand on most teams towards the top of the table. Because of the Conference League, we have played one game less than quite a few teams in and around us, so I suppose that's in our favour, albeit I think it's a little while until we do play our next Premier League game. We've got Conference League, EFL Cup, then Brighton, and then we get into the month of October when we will come back for the next episode. And I dare say we'll probably come back for the Manchester United game in the next episode. But if we go over to the Data Hub, haven't got the inbox item about this yet, but it is available. So I think what I'm going to do is just set things up how I think I'm going to like it, because I'm not exactly too sure what to expect here, and we'll come back shortly and run you guys through all the interesting bits of data that we've got going on in this new feature in FM22. And we are back. So this is what the Data Hub looks like. I think I've found most things that I can in the Ask For at the moment. So the first page that you get here is the overview, general performance. If we have a quick look at that, the purple is us, the white is the Premier League average, and expected goals per game and goals per game looks like where we are lacking at the moment, as well as shots per game. So all the attacking stats are not good for us. So we definitely need to change something here at Tottenham to try and get probably Harry Kane firing, it's fair to say, because he has started the season off very rough. Our attacking stats not looking great. So that's one thing that you can get just from the general performance area of this Data Hub. On the overview page, you get your key findings, which, to be fair, mostly is the sort of stuff that you've been getting after each match anyway in the post-match report, albeit there's a few interesting ones here. You can see team defending they're bringing up. We're looking pretty good defensively, so I suppose that 5 at the back's working in that regard, but we might have to trade that off for 4 at the back just to try and get something going a little bit more in the midfield into attack, so we get a few more goals. You can see last match XG performance. As we said, we definitely improved in the second half, but that start really cost us, and attacking is the one that really hurts us at the moment. Fouls against per game is low, so we're not dribbling much. I suppose that's what you expect from a tiki-taka system, but yeah, we need to be getting that up. Goals per game, very low. XG, shots, all pretty bad. Our shots on target ratio isn't actually too bad, and our dribbles per game, just a little bit higher than the Premier League average, but our attack definitely needs some work here at Tottenham, so we might have to change the system and try and get something going a little bit more there, start to move the ball around a little bit more freely and try and get forward a little bit quicker. We might start going towards a gegenpress system, I think, as I showed you guys in yesterday's episode. We do have one of the highest stamina ratings in this league, but team performance we go over to now, and these are some overall team stats. You can see all the sort of stuff that you can bring up in here, some very interesting stuff. The XG table expected to be 16th at the moment and 11th, so that really needs to be sorted out. Our XG is very poor and it's costing us at the moment. Attacking wise, definitely lacking. You can see attacking efficiency, we are not shooting much and being quite wasteful with our shots. So that's not an area that you want to be in, really, sort of along in there with Brighton and Brentford. We need to be trying to get up in this area if we're going to have any chance of qualifying for the Champions League for next season. Defensive efficiency, you can see busy defense, but quite tight. So that's quite nice to see. Defending wise in general, all of our stats look pretty good. It's fair to say possession gained. We're gaining our position in our defensive end quite a bit, which is as you would expect, but losing it in the midfield quite a bit. Hopefully we could get that a little bit further forward and not lose it in this area, because that is no doubt one of the reasons why we're not quite performing as well attacking wise as we could be. Possession wise, you can see not great, not winning the ball and only being slightly above the reliable and position line compared to loosened position line. So yeah, I think we need to maybe add one extra midfielder, and with one of our centre backs coming out, I think we're going to have to go for a 4-3-3 and see how that works. Our goal output, low quality shooting, but strong defending. Suppose that's okay. It's not looking good for us up front. Aerially, we're not doing terribly, actually. We're doing all right aerially, not many headers, but when we do, we're doing a good job with them. And yeah, some interesting stats coming out of it. I think the main thing that we need to work on is getting our attack firing, because it is really struggling. And then you start going over to the player graphs. You can do them in position. So we've got some goalkeeping ones. It's passing, Lloris, fewer passes, but quite accurate. Shot stopping wise, he's doing a decent job, sort of right on that line of being an okay goalkeeper who's doing a pretty decent job, sort of having about an average amount of shots to save each game. And then overall goalkeeping, again, fewer saves and saving about what you'd expect them to. So doing an okay job at the moment there is Hugo Lloris in goal. Defending wise, passing, we've got some of the better passes in the division at the moment. Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez standing out. I noticed Ramiro nowhere on this graph. He has had a bit of a rough start to his loan spell here from Atalanta. Dyer and Sanchez, if we do go to those two centre backs, they might be the two who get the nod first up based on those. You look at the defending in general, again, Sanchez and Dyer doing a decent job there in the slightly good side of things there with those defensive stats. Aerially, decent again, about average for the league. And in possession, we're looking fairly reliable when we do get the ball, albeit not winning it back too much. Defensively, I think we're looking okay. Midfield, you can see we're making lots of passes, accurate passes. If we have a look at who that is, of course, Højbjerg and Ndombele doing a pretty good job scoring-wise. Low scoring with low quality shooting, so might need to try and improve our scoring output from the midfielders. In terms of defending, we're only doing an okay job, I imagine. If we have a bit of a deeper look at that, it is indeed Højbjerg who's down the bottom there, being, of course, our box-to-box, while Ndombele is the deep-lying playmaker at the moment, so he no doubt will be getting in a few more blocks than Højbjerg. Shooting-wise, Ndombele not doing much despite getting that really good goal in the Leeds game. Højbjerg definitely a bit more useful going forward, but that's what you'd expect with the roles that we're using there. In possession, we're winning the ball decently, but a little bit loose in possession, so that's a bit of a concern as well. And tackling wise, we are generally making tackles and being quite strong when doing it. So the midfield's okay, probably need a little bit more attacking output there. So again, need to try and focus on getting more goals. And up front, it's not looking great. Not many headers, strong heading, but it's Heung-min Son up there, and there's no sign of Harry Kane anywhere. So that's quite concerning, truth be told. Crossing, Heung-min Son definitely being good at crossing. Passing, Son doing a decent job, lots of passes, a little bit inaccurate, so it's an area he could potentially improve. In their movement, he is doing a lot of dribbles but losing possession. So Son not having a great start to the season either. Maybe he could improve and try and get better service up there to Harry Kane. But interesting to see in these forward stats that Harry Kane is nowhere to be seen. So that's a bit concerning. He definitely needs to start getting his act into gear. Otherwise, we are going to be struggling here at Tottenham. But that's a look at the data hub, and you've also got here, you can look at your last match, your last 5 matches, general themes. You can see there, apparently we need to do a lower line of engagement for our attack, and that's probably not a bad idea. I'm not too sure if we'll go fully low, but we'll certainly drag it back, as maybe that's going to allow us to get Harry Kane a bit more involved, and Belotti, of course. And also quite useful, you can look at your next opponent and see how they are likely to play. Key findings for them, some very useful stuff here in the data hub if you're a bit of a stats nerd like me. But that will do it for today's episode. I think it was a bit of a long one, but we had deadline day. We had the data hub, which I wanted to run you guys through. And I think now we've covered off most of the things in the game new feature-wise, and we can start focusing a little bit more on the gameplay until we get up to the next transfer window in January. So if you did enjoy today's episode, then please do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and also if you enjoy the series here, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. As I said, we'll be coming back tomorrow for an away trip to Manchester United. A fair bit of gameplay in between now and then as well. We've got the EFL Cup kicking off, the Conference League group stage kicking off as well. So hopefully we can improve on that Newcastle performance today, because that was an absolute shocker. But until tomorrow, when I see you for the Manchester United game, one quick thing to point out too, the next episode is probably going to come out at the time where my episodes came out on last year's FM, about 5 p.m. New Zealand time, 5 a.m. UK time, just because back to work from tomorrow, and it's going to be a little bit harder to get the videos onto YouTube for that time, while also having enough time at night time to actually get through the save at a decent click. Usually what I do is process the videos overnight, so I have a decent nighttime session playing the game after editing. So I think what we're going to do from tomorrow onwards is start having the videos come out in the afternoon my time, just so that I have time in the morning to actually upload them to YouTube. So just keep that in mind if they're not there at the usual time that they have been the last couple of episodes. It's sort of had a switch around just because of work, more or less, for me. But until tomorrow, when we're going to be taking on Manchester United in the league, and we'll see how much time we've got as well. We might also throw in that West Ham game as well, a bit of a London derby, so that could be another good game to add into that episode if we have time. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.